Before this, Harris drilled us on circuits that lied phantom voltages, short circuits, and sparks that shouted louder than words. We ended with the rule etched into our voices: test before touch. Circuits had shown their deceptions, and breakers had proved they could not always be trusted. Now the lesson shifted. Harris said if electricity flowed like blood, then wires were its veins. And if we chose the wrong veins, the whole body of the building would suffer. The workshop smelled different today, sharper, metallic, like copper shavings and insulation. On the bench lay coils of wire, some copper, some aluminum, some thick and heavy, others thin as thread. Beside them sat conduits, clamps, spools, rolls of tape, and boxes of wire nuts. Harris stood behind it all, arms folded. His voice was steady and cold. Electricity is invisible. Yesterday, you learned that circuits lie. Today, you meet the veins of power themselves. Wires. They carry life. They also carry death. Respect them, or they will betray you. Maria poked at a roll of aluminum wire. It just looks like string. Harris's eyes narrowed. That string can kill you faster than a knife. What is the difference between copper and aluminum? I raised my hand. Copper conducts better. Less resistance. Correct? And aluminum. Maria frowned. Cheaper, yes, and weaker. Aluminum expands when hot, loosens connections, and burns buildings. Code allows it, but only with special fittings. What happens when you ignore that? Loose connections, I said. And loose connections cause? Heat. And heat causes. Maria sighed. Fire. Correct. Older John narrating. Years later, I saw an apartment fire start at a single aluminum splice. The landlord had saved money on copper. The wires loosened after a year. Flames took the entire second floor. The price of cheap was millions. Harris grabbed a roll of copper. What is a WG? American wire gauge, I said. And what does gauge mean? Thickness, Maria answered. And what happens when gauge number is smaller? Wire is thicker, and thicker wire carries. More current, I said. Correct. 14 gauge, 15 amps. 12 gauge, 20 amps. Out. 10 gauge, 30 amps. Know these numbers or someone dies. Maria groaned. So math again. Yes. Math saves lives, Harris said. He handed me a wire stripper. John stripped this 12 gauge. I clamped too tight. The copper nicked. Harris snatched it away. What mistake? I damaged the conductor. And what does that cause? Weak point. Heat. Failure. Correct. Respect the copper. One careless cut is a future fire. Maria tried next. She stripped too shallow, insulation still clinging. She yanked it free, tearing strands. Sparks flew in Harris's eyes. What mistake? Strands cut, Maria muttered. And what happens to a stranded conductor with half its strands gone? Less current capacity, I said. And what happens then? Overheating? Overheating causes? Maria threw up her hands. Fire. Okay, fire again. Correct, Harris said. Older John narrating. I once saw a stranded cable feeding a rooftop unit. The apprentice had nicked half the strands. For months, it ran hot until it burned through. The unit shut down in the middle of a summer heat wave. A hospital lost cooling. Patients suffered, all from one careless cut. Harris pointed at a bundle of wires. What does insulation do? Protects from contact, I said. What materials are common? PVC, rubber, thermoplastic. And what happens when insulation cracks? Shock, arc, fire. Maria muttered. You don't even have to ask anymore. Then say it louder, Harris snapped. Shock, arc, fire, she shouted. Good, remember it. We practice pulling wires through conduit. Harris barked orders. John, what do you put on wires before pulling? Lubricant if needed. And why? To reduce friction. And friction causes, heat and heat causes, fire, I said. Maria groaned. I swear you enjoy this. Fire enjoys you more, Harris said. We cut wires, bent them, connected them into a junction box. Harris inspected every move. What happens if you overload a wire? Insulation melts, I said. What if breaker is too large? Wire burns before breaker trips. And what if wire is too small for the load? Voltage drop, Maria said. And voltage drop causes Dim lights, overheating motors, failure. Correct. Code is numbers, not feelings. Respect the chart. Older John. Narrating. I once worked in a shop where machines kept shutting down. The contractor had used 14-gauge wire on a 20-amp circuit. The breaker never tripped. The wires smoked in the ceiling. By the time they found it, the insulation had already turned black. The air felt hotter. The copper in my hand seemed heavier. Maria blew a strand of hair out of her face. So wires are liars too? No, Harris said. Wires never lie. They do exactly what physics demands. You are the liar when you choose wrong. We ended by labeling each conductor. Harris quizzed us again. What color is neutral? White. What color is ground? Green or bare? What colors for hot? Black, red, sometimes blue. And what happens when you reverse neutral and hot? Shock hazard. And what happens when ground carries current? Unsafe fire risk. Correct. Remember, color is language. Wires speak. If you misread, you kill. Harris shut the panel hard. The sound echoed. Lesson 1. Copper is life. Lesson 2. Aluminum is danger. Lesson 3. Gauge is law. Learn the veins of power, or power will cut your veins. Tomorrow, we learn conduits and clamps. And metal has no mercy. Maria whispered, I hate tomorrow already. I closed my notebook, my fingers trembling. The copper coils on the bench looked like snakes waiting to strike. Coming up next, Episode 11, Conduits, Clamps, and the Price of Carelessness.